It makes me feel like I'm being pro Boston when I'm not. I hate it. I hate it. I don't like it at all. But the hat is heat. Like I can't lie, it's heat. You also have the undercover cop facial hair going on, which is interesting.
But we're back. There are a lot of non-cool people crying that we're going to get to at some point because we have ourselves a World Series and we also NBA season's back. So I'm quite distracted at the moment. But we have ourselves a World Series. We've got the Snakes. We've got the Rangers. And I am going to address the haters and losers and dweebs and nerds because they deserve to be addressed. But I feel like it's a disservice to these teams not talking about them first and foremost. Unbelievable theater for both of them to get here. Yes. Rangers, Astros, every single game in that series won by the road team.
The Astros have pulled that off now twice in 4 years, which is insane.
Last one was what, Nationals in the World Series? Yeah.
The road team won every game.
Yeah, so something weird going on there in Houston. Doesn't really help with that we don't need trash can allegations when the second they no longer have them, they can't win at home. Now, again, they've won a World Series since then, so that takes a lot of the pressure off. But the inability to win...
Indisputably, it's still funny that they've lost 4 games in their crib 2 different occasions in the last 4 years in a playoff series. It's still objectively funny. And then on top of that, they were awful in the regular season this year at home.
Right.
They're under 500 at home in the regular season. So it's
very peculiar. Very Javier, his worst playoff game by far. I mean, he's been so good in the postseason, but for him to go out there and kind of lay an egg, Scherzer was fine. Like, he wasn't dominant, but he was fine.
He gave them just enough.
Right.
He gave them just enough. Like, I was convinced he was about to spit the lead back up when he came out, and I was like, oh, here we fucking go. When Jordan hit the triple with on a pitch that was like on the ground in the other batter's box, and he hit it off the wall. I was like, what? I thought he was going to give it up. He did just enough to get them to the next pitcher.
Well, that's where I thought it didn't look like he was trying to pitch like Max Scherzer. It looked like he was trying to just get out of every at-bat. You know what I mean? He wasn't trying to pitch like the guy he's been the last 15 years. He was just like, all right, how do I approach this? Like that pitch Jordan hit, that was like lefty Vlad Guerrero. Like that was not a serious pitch to hit. Like that's
it wasn't at all, bro. It was like a split finger in the dirt. Like
but it didn't seem like he was trying. In a weird way, it reminded me of like Pedro in '99 when he knew he couldn't throw a fastball because he was hurt. So he just started going to off speed and just started being like, I know I'm a good enough pitcher to get through this. Scherzer, to me, is the pitcher of his generation. I think he's the best out of him, Verlander, for sure Kershaw. Like, I don't think Kershaw's top 2.
Knock it off.
And I get angry.
Knock it off.
You would take Kershaw over Scherzer.
1,000%. Because what is the argument in favor of Scherzer? His playoff history is not good either. Like, yes, it's not as high profile. Understood. Fine. But it ain't good. Like, Max Scherzer's playoff history is not good either.
It's not. Well, yeah, this year it hasn't been ideal, and he has been dealing with injuries.
In general. Go look at him.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm well aware, but to me, I mean, Scherzer's won size in both the AL and the NL. I always put a lot of respect on that. Kershaw has stacked his resume in the weakest division.
Kershaw's playing with what team? We holding that against him now?
No. It's just the division I'm holding against him. Like, I have no respect for the NL West, especially when he did most of his damage before the rest of the NL West got serious. It is an unserious division.
The NL East is serious?
Much more serious in terms of batting? Yeah.
That's what we're doing. The majority of Scherzer's tenure. You think the NL East is serious for real?
No, I mean if you're going to argue against the majority of his tenure, I would also bring up the Central before I brought up the NL East.
I was going to get there.
The NL East is so much better than the NL West.
But yes, a 5-foot person is taller than a 4'3" person. Yeah, yes, it's so much better. You're right. It's so much better. You're right, but they're both short.
And he's playing for the Nationals. That would be like if Kershaw pitched his whole career on the fucking Rockies, not the Dodgers.
Fair point.
Like that's wildly different than like.
I can't argue. Fair point.
The what does he got? 3 size? Scherzer? I think it's 3.
It's either 2 or 3.
Yeah. What he was doing in the AL, like the AL Central is just as bad as the NL West, no doubt. Like, no doubt. I'm not going to argue against that.
1,000%. But he didn't sit there that long, though, I feel like. Or I might be making that up. It didn't feel like he was in Detroit that long? Like 6 years? 5 years?
That's fucking long. What do you mean?
I realized how ridiculous that was when I started
saying a decade.
Like, it's not that long. And it's like, bro, in baseball years, 5 years might as well be 15, bro. So never mind. My bad.
So you think Kershaw is the best pitcher of the last 15 years?
I mean, I'd argue Verlander over Scherzer, personally. But I mean, all 3 of them suck in the playoffs, though.
I would say Verlander's not great.
All 3 of them suck. Yeah, I guess by default, I guess I'm arguing for Kershaw. I guess. Like,
how does that not bring you back to just because if I had said Kershaw, I feel like you'd be arguing Scherzer. Now you're just arguing me.
No, I wouldn't at all. No, I mean, I have a higher opinion of Kershaw than most, but I also quite clearly understand the elephant in the room. I'm not stupid. Like, I get it. Like, the playoff elephant is there and it is barking. Like, get it, understood. But yeah, no, I would. If Scherzer or Verlander had a better playoff history, like, yeah, I'd probably lean towards them, but they don't. So,
but even if we're saying they all have bad postseasons, Scherzer's regular seasons have been unbelievable.
Oh, but Kershaw's are better.
Again, factoring competition, I go with Scherzer.
None of them play great competition. None of them play great competition.
For sure levels to this.
Better competition, fine. I'm not going to argue because I'm not going to argue who is the taller, short person. Fine. But none of them competition. I live in New York. I've seen the NL East up close and personal. That shit is not good. It hasn't been good for a while. Now it's fine, I guess. But even now, it's 2 teams and like the Marlins, the Mets, and the fucking Nationals. Like, it's just no.
Listen, the Marlins. I mean, the Mets have had plenty of problems. They've had big bats throughout the years. Now, do they have 9 of them always? No, but they have more. I'm going to give the Rockies. They're more than the Rockies.
I mean, but the Rockies playing cores. If we're going to go here.
Half of the time.
Exactly. Yes, half the time.
And then when they travel, they can't hit it all because they're not used to the ball traveling that way.
50% is a big-ass number. What you mean?
It's as big as the other 50, friend.
True, but it's still there. It exists.
I got Kershaw, something like 12th. I don't know, somewhere down there. Alcantara. Eovaldi.
I was about to say
Ranger Suarez. All the fellas. All of them.
Brandon Pfaadt?
Yeah, of course. It's not even a question. One thing I've noticed, I haven't seen anyone point this out, should be needed to be pointed out. This is the battle of the 53s. I don't know that this has ever happened before. Baseball is weird enough where call-ups used to wear fucked up numbers, so it may have happened. Christian Walker and Adolis Garcia both wear 53. I don't know that that's ever happened for like starters on each team.
I would put a decent amount of money there. Hasn't
it's such a strange number.
It's such a 53 is a very weird number. I'd be surprised if 2 fucking teams in the World Series had dudes wearing 53. I'd be really surprised.
Because I know they've changed the call-up rules. I don't even know if it was ever an official rule, but even when guys would get called up and be forced with a fucked up number, it was always like in the 70s or 80s. It was never 50s. Mm-hmm. So that's where it's like, no, these 2 picked 53 for whatever reason. I don't know the reasons. They both picked 53.
And that's how many teams cut Adolis. Maybe that's what I have no fucking idea. There got to be a reason. I feel like you don't pick 53 just for the fuck
for shits and giggles. Yeah, you can't.
Like, you can't pick 53 just for the fuck of picking 53. So I'd like to hear the reason. Somebody need to ask them that.
Again, very strange. We're featuring 250 and like not guys that are coming off the bench pinch hitting, like starters, like middle of the order bats for both teams.
53 is the amount of home runs Adolis hit in the last 2 games of that series too. Man, he was wearing them boys out.
Martin Ice Spice Maldonado saying that Adolis woke up Houston and then he put him right fucking back to sleep. He burped the baby, put him right back down.
That was I know I do the I hate Houston bit. Like the fans bother me way more than the team does at this point. Like, whatever to the team. But Maldonado, I don't like that. I'm so glad. Just on that alone, that is the biggest reason I am happy they're going home because I don't know when that guy started talking like he's Pudge Rodriguez. You're not. You're not. You're not. Like, you're a Kyle Higashioka with a manager who likes you. Like, that's what it is. And better supporting cast.
Much.
That's what you are. And he's talking like you need to wake up you didn't need to wake up bro, wake up bro, the biggest part of that ninth inning was them walking the guy that pinch hit for you.
Yeah.
John fucking Singleton. Like, I was irate. The minute he threw ball 4, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Oh, John Singleton, not even like it was 3-2 and he fouled off some, bro, the man didn't even get the bat off his fucking shoulder. And they walked him on 5 pitches, and Altuve did what he did. Thankfully, none of that matters. They lost, but none of it fucking matters. Nobody's gonna care. We're not gonna remember Altuve's home run. I mean, shit, we already don't.
I don't know. It's weird. It's very strange, and I understand baseball's changed their playoff structure as much as any other sport, if not more, over the years. But seeing Altuve and Kyle Schwarber hold the AL and NLCS home run records is jarring. Altuve somehow makes more sense, but also less sense because he's a little fella. But he's been in the ALCS the last 7 fucking years. So he hits two a year, and he set the record.
Well, like, how many LCSs has Kyle Schwarber been in? Like 3?
That's what I mean. He was in last year's, this year's, and then the ones with the Cubs. What did they make it twice?
It might have been twice.
That's what I mean.
know they made it off.
But even wait a minute, wasn't he hurt the year they won it? Like, didn't he come back in the middle of the NLCS or something like that?
Maybe. I'd have to look it up.
I feel like he may have been hurt, and it was kind of like, can he even play in the field? Is he just going to?
I remember him wearing the Mets out. Well, I remember that.
The part of Schwarber's that makes it so fucking impressive, he spent a whole year playing in the ALCS with the Red Sox and mashing home runs. Those don't even count for his NLCS total. Like, those were just bonus dingers.
I always forget that he played for the Red Sox in actual meaningful games. I don't know why that part just escapes me, but it just does. And why did they let him go? They just didn't want to pay him?
I think some of it was they didn't want to pay him. Some of it was the Phillies hired his hitting coach to be their hitting coach. So it was kind of one of those things, like, he was just kind of always going to go there. I mean, it was a 1-for-1 trade of Aldo Ramirez, who's like our 9th ranked prospect at the time. I think he's got hurt within the Nationals. Like, I don't think he's made it to the majors yet. So it was like trading one mid-level prospect for the rest of the year for Kyle Schwarber in a year where he was quite delightful. Was good. I would have kept him. I would have kept him, but it's also one of those things where, like, if the team was bad and he's hitting 198, I don't know that people would be thrilled paying him. So it's
they wouldn't.
Right. Like, it works with Philly because they really just play home run derby. They're not too concerned with baseball, and that kind of fucked them in the end when they needed to make, like, actual plays.
Yeah, it wasn't great Game 6 and Game 7 for him.
Like, Bryce trying to throw to second. I know his arm's still not 100%, but him trying to throw to second on the pickoff attempt, where Corbin Carroll just made it to second without much fuss. Those are the kind of things where it's like, yeah, you do need to be able to play defense a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, the Phillies have largely just been like, fuck defense. And, I mean, shit, it's gotten them pretty far the last couple of years. I'm not here to shit on their methods, but, like, when you're trying to win in the margins, like, that kind of stuff can come back to bite you in the ass in the end.
But it's also one of those things, too. They were so, I can't even say home run dependent. They were solo home run dependent, these playoffs, to the point where when they had guys on pace, it was like they just forgot what to do. And I know you hate small ball. I'm not advocating for small. I'm not saying they should have bunted guys over, but sometimes you really just got to put bat on ball and get it into play.
I will say, watching Trey Turner try to bunt. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, right? He tried to bunt. I was like, well, now is not the time for this.
Right.
Like, now is really not the time for this shit, dog. Like, if the next run wins the game, sure, bro. Hell, if it's the 8th inning and the next run ties the game, I can squint hard enough to see what you're doing. It was like the 5th inning. What are you? They're not batting you second to bunt. What are we doing, man? But yeah, no. I mean, they were what? Like, I want to say it was like 3 for 18 or runners scoring position game 6 and game 7, and it's just they saved all of their shit for one game.
Yeah.
Like game 2, they went crazy, and then the rest of it was kind of just like if they didn't hit a solo home run, they weren't scoring. And I am not of the mind that hitting solo home runs in the playoffs is not a sustainable business model. I think it is. But when the other team is just as good at it, and then they hold you down in your park, this is what you have. You go home, or you stay home.
And I'm always so shocked. People get mad when I bring things back to Boston, but like in 21, that Kyle Schwarber year, they cut to the Rays on the dugout, eating popcorn in the middle of the game. They thought they were going to win that series, no problem. They get packed up, 3 straight games, done. The Red Sox knew the power of shit talking, know what they can do. And then Eddie fucking Rodriguez starts doing this to Carlos Correa. They don't want another fucking game after that. Like, the Phillies just did the same thing. The Phillies just did the same thing. They saw fucking what's his name of the Braves. I already forget it. Arcia. They saw Arcia, what that did to them. And then they go to Arizona talking about we're going to swim in their pool. How fucking stupid are you? Shut up.
There's 2 things you bring up every single episode. Rodriguez talking shit or whatever you're doing. And Dustin Pedroia getting taken out of second base. Every episode. But yeah, no, I mean, you start talking crazy like that, it can come back to bite you. It can make you look quite stupid in the end. And they did.
Aaron Judge still hasn't recovered from that boombox incident. Like, talking shit can be very detrimental if you're not ready to back it up. Torey Lovello, credit to him, he said we didn't fly across the country to get our teeth kicked in. He did the teeth kicking.
They did the teeth. Yep.
You know what I mean? Adolis Garcia, he's fucking doing cartwheels down the first baseline. I saw.
I tell you, he's a better man than me because I would have literally cartwheeled at the home plate. He's a better person than me because he had plenty of opportunities to do something real, like next level obnoxious. And he chose to just take the high road. I would have been on some other shit.
I don't know if high road's the road I would say he was traveling.
Okay, high road is stretching it. But he could have been worse. Let me just put it that. High road stretcher, yes. He could have been worse.
People I like YC I know wasn't watching the game live, and someone just posted a screenshot and he was like, Why is this back to first base? I was like, oh, you gotta You got to see that. And shout out. That's exactly. We've come on here and talked about what we hate about the ump cam. That Adolis home run is exactly why they should have the ump cam. Wasn't live, after the fact replay. Yeah, let me see him take a stroll down the first baseline as this ball sails into the Houston night sky. That's exactly what it's for.
So fire. Like, I could watch that replay 100 times and never get tired of it. It's so fire. He has his back to first and he's yelling at his dugout. Amazing. Incredible stuff.
So there's plenty to like about this World Series. Plenty. The Snakes are a little bit ahead of schedule. I love that everyone's just agreed to start calling them the Snakes, like, permanently. I haven't seen
Right. I've been wondering where that started. Because it just happened all at once. I didn't even see where it started. Everybody just called them the Snakes, which, I mean, it's better than the D-backs.
I think it was, last year when they got their MLB Connect jerseys, when they were the Serpientes, I think everyone was just like, yeah, we're calling them the Snakes now, like their fan base. And
way cooler name.
But it's unbelievable. The Arizona Snakes is unbelievable.
Snakes, that's way cooler than Diamondbacks, bro. Like, what took so long?
And Diamondbacks is a great name. I don't even want to shit on Diamondbacks. Like,
it's not.
They're too.
Snakes is a different level. No, Diamondbacks is not bad at all. But Snakes is just different level.
This is a Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali situation. Like, they went 2 for 2 in my eyes. Like, they didn't get any of this wrong.
That's true. The second one just happened to be a grand slam. The first one was like a 3-run home run instead. So it's basically, that's what we're arguing.
They're fans with the 8.5 by 11 printouts, like just Times New Roman, like Snakes Coming signs. Those are unbelievable. Like everything they're doing, it's hard to hate on the Snakes. The Rangers, everyone should be high on the Rangers. They've just dumped money into this team the last couple of off seasons. The guys they paid, Marcus Semion's about to have the most at bats ever in a season. I don't know if people are very keen to this fact. Like, he's creeping up that list, regular season and postseason combined. He's dug into the box as much as anyone ever in one single season of baseball. That's elite.
He shows up to work, goddammit. Get your money's worth, Texas. Show up to work.
Anyone who doesn't think there's something interesting here, like the Rangers have never won a World Series ever.
Correct.
So anytime there's a team that has their first, well, it's not their first shot, but would be their chance at winning their first, that's always elite. The Diamondbacks were the fastest team in MLB history, expansion team, to win a World Series. I think they came in like 96, 97. They won in 01.
Don't recall.
No, it wasn't even broadcast, I don't think. But the entire, like, Nate Silver, and he's not the only one, but he's the most recent one I saw. There is a subsect of fans. This isn't even just for baseball. It happens with every goddamn sport, who act like they run these major networks. Like, they run TBS, they run Fox, they run TNT, they run ABC. Like, their pockets will be hurting because of the ratings. Last I checked, this is the social media era. Just because you don't watch the beginning of a game, if you see people start bubbling up like, hey, this game's fire, you know how many fucking random sports I've watched because people on the timeline have been like, hey, you guys got to turn to ESPN 8.
That's me with college football every week.
Right.
I watch college football. It's me with college every week. It's like, yo, USC versus fucking Washington State. Like, yo, it's going down to the wires. All right, fine. Let me tune in. Every week, it's me with college football.
Tennis, like that Isner match back in the day that went like 2 days long because they were at that break point. I was like, yeah, I'll watch a little bit of that. I don't know anything about tennis, but you're telling me this is historic? I'll tune in. I don't understand. But we saw it last year with the finals. It was just because it was the 8 seed Heat. They were the 1 seed the year prior. Like, I don't understand.
I don't. Right. They were and Celtic fans, a lot of them were the ones leading that charge. I have no fucking idea. Well, I know why they were bitter, but like, why the ratings is that's the one the hill you want to die on.
I take a little exception. Laker fans were also doing it too.
I said leading the charge. I ain't say they were the only ones. I said leading the charge. But yeah, why these people act like they are getting TV money off of these leagues is beyond me. And if you can't find something compelling about this series, maybe that says a lot about how you consume the sport. I'm not even saying that negatively. Like, we all consume it differently. I mean, I'll say negative shit about the whining, but like, how you consume the sport is how you consume the sport. If you like star power, hey man, this ain't the series for you.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Like, there are
but by star, I don't mean star power just strictly in between the lines. Like, you're not talking about Corey Seager because Corey Seager's a robot. He doesn't talk. That's the kind of what I mean. Altuve's 4'8" and hitting 450-foot bombs. He's a star because we all have a feeling about Julio Altuve, one way or the other. Right. Corey Seager he go out there, he hit his bombs, he goes home. That's it. Like, he comes to work, he go home. That's him. Marcus Semien, I don't even know what he sounds like. I didn't know what he sounded like until last week. Like, that. This is what I mean. Like, these guys are not. They're not nationalish faces. That's not their fault for the most part, but they're just not.
To me, why I hate that people even think that way. When the Astros first made the ALCS 7 years ago, no one gave a fuck about the Houston Astros. They meant nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's fair.
Like that, but like the Golden State Warriors, when their run started, no one gave a fuck. Not one fuck. No one had ever cared outside of Danny Tanner.
I mean, I can't say that.
No,
I can't say that.
It's wrong. LeBron was there. That's the only
reason. But but the Warriors are new and fresh in a way that we had never really seen. So like, people gravitated towards that.
But not
there's nothing new or anything about
this. The only reason they gravitated towards it immediately was because it was against LeBron. If they had played against someone else, they wouldn't.
I'm talking about even before then, though. Like, I'm talking about before, like, in season. I'm talking about, like, people gravitated towards that and they really liked what they were watching. Like, Rangers,
I get that part of it, but it's like, even still, like, I'm more talking about no one cared about the existence of the Golden State Warriors
Oh, that's
prior to
facts.
that. That's what I mean.
That's facts. No, that's facts.
Like,
That's
I
facts.
don't understand. And I see this. Someone made this tweet about college football the year Cincinnati went crazy. I think Sauce's last year, when it was when people were arguing, like, should they even make the playoff? And someone was like, sorry, Cincinnati, you guys weren't good in 1953, so you can't make the playoffs in 2019. Like, that's exactly what it is. Just because, like, the Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals, Dodgers, am I missing anyone? I don't feel like I am. Like, those are the teams that get this pass because of this historic precedent. I don't, like, who gives a fuck? Like, if this is the case, because I see all these people add another playoff team, which is fucking mostly Braves fans. Like, yeah, add another playoff team. I've seen like, the people are mad because the Diamondbacks won what, 83, 84 games?
I think 84.
84. And I believe this is the lowest combined wins between two World Series teams ever. Like, ever.
Yes.
In a non-shortened season, obviously 2020 definitely didn't clear this.
Right.
Baseball is not football. Like, football, you don't have in the middle of the season some guy get elevated from the minor leagues that can change your season. Like, that's not how baseball, looking at the regular season win total, is so irrelevant in what we're talking about. People act like, I just don't understand the logic that Braves, who was the one seed in the American League? I don't even fucking remember.
Great question. Was it
Orioles?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were in the playoffs for 6 minutes. No wonder we don't remember.
These teams fucking got their teeth kicked in, and somehow that would be a better series? Like, the teams that got destroyed would somehow make a better series? That logic doesn't add up.
The whining about the playoff format is not even one that I'm some big fan of. But, like, we're talking about putting an extra team in, which is... I don't compute how that makes sense. If the argument is we want to make this less crapshooty, why are you adding another fucking playoff team? How does that make any sense?
You know what's going to happen?
Like, we have 7 already. You want 8? Like, why stop there? Just have the whole goddamn season be a playoff then.
When that 8th team makes it and they win, people are going to be like,
we're going to have the same conversation. You're not solving the problem. Like, if you want to solve this problem, like, downsizing is the way to go. Like, how they had it originally is how I would have kept it. Like, the 5 teams, like the 4 division winners, and 3 division winners and 2 wild cards. That's how I would have done it. Kept it. It was fine to me. I know why they did it, money, but it was fine to me how it was. But the complaining about it is just, are you just mad your favorite team lost? Is that what it comes down to? Because I've seen it mostly from Braves fans about the format and the rust and this, that, and the fucking third, as if teams don't sweep teams like every year and end up getting rest and then beat the next team. We see this often enough. Your team just didn't have it. It happened. It's a crapshoot. The playoffs are a fucking crapshoot. That's what it is. There's going to be random variants in baseball more than pretty much any other sport, save for maybe hockey. It is what it is.
Well, hockey's whole thing is predicated on randomness, so they love that. They love that part where it's like the Bruins last year set the record for most points in the season. They did something. I don't fucking know.
So speaking of tuning in to sporting events based on what you see on Twitter, I tuned into Game 7 based on that. It was like, the Bruins might go down. Oh, turn me up, baby. Yeah. Let's go.
I feel like that happens all the time in hockey. Like, the best team of all time just gets pieced instantly. It's just like that I hate. Like, when it's always, that's annoying. Last year, the 1 seed won it all. So it's like, I made this point a couple of years ago on radio, and people screamed at me. They said I was an idiot. They said I was wrong. And yet, time and time again, it gets proven correctly. I said it during the NCAA tournament because I'm not a fucking coward. I don't wait for baseball or hockey or basketball. I say it when people pretend to really love underdogs. America hates underdogs. There's nothing America hates more than an underdog story. That old trope that America loves the underdog story is fucking dog shit, because you see it time and time again. The underdogs win, especially in the NCAA tournament. They win weekend 1. Everyone goes, oh, it's so funny, Virginia lost. And then you're watching UMBCC, whatever the fuck, play the next weekend and get their teeth kicked. It's like, oh yeah, why did we want this underdog to win? Now this stinks. Now it's awful. And you see it every year. This happens, and like people last year, it's like, oh, we didn't want to watch the Bucks. It's funny in the moment, but now it's the second round. We actually don't want to watch the Heat. This is like, no, of course. Like people hate underdogs. They absolutely fucking hate it. They hate parity. They hate underdogs.
But like, they whine for parity though. Like it's such a conundrum. Like I'll slightly remix what you said. I don't think people hate underdogs. I think people love them with conditions. Like I think people love them like or to put it a different way, they love them for a short period of time. As long as they not in like the NCAA tournament, for example, as long as BMCC or whoever the fuck doesn't make the Final Four, people are cool with them. If like the first one's like, oh yay, underdogs. The second one's like, yay, underdogs. The third one is like, yay, underdog. And then after that, they don't fuck with them no more. That is what it is. They don't like underdogs. And they don't like underdogs for a long period of time. And we're seeing the same thing. Like the Diamondbacks were a cute fucking story a month ago. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is going to be the worst World Series of all time. I mean, and the thing is, like, none of these takes are about the baseball. Like nobody has anything to say about the baseball because the Rangers just in a vacuum, extremely fun team to watch.
They had the same amount of wins as the Astros. The same fucking team as the Astros. Why are we acting like Astros is better? Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Names.
Same fucking state.
Bigger names. That's it. That is legitimately it. Some people watch for the names.
Seager's a huge name. He played for the Dodgers the rest of his career. Like, he's well known.
Oh, of course he is, but he ain't fun.
Scherzer, pitcher of his generation, first ballot Hall of Famer.
He ain't fun to the casuals. I'm talking about Corey.
Jacob DeGrom, employed by the Rangers. We'll have great beats for these World Series.
Like saying that there's nothing to watch in this series is so lazy. Just say you're not here because you wanted the bigger market or the bigger names, whatever. Just say that, and that's fine. Just say it though.
These people are like truly rooting for the front of the jerseys, which is preposterous. Like, and not even the modern front of the, like, would people rather watch Red Sox Giants right now? Those are two historically dominant teams. Would they rather that? I wouldn't rather that. I'm a Red Sox fan. Most excited.
Bro, like if you're really telling me you can't find nothing fun in Corbin Carroll, I don't know what to tell you.
That's my whole point with the Warriors comparison. Like, Corbin Carroll's unbelievable, and he's a rookie, like unbelievable. Right. Ketel Marte may be the best postseason hitter of all time, depending on what stats
he has. His slash for the playoffs is 358, 382, 604 with a 164 WRC plus. Like, I knew it was good. I didn't know it was that good.
He has a hit in every playoff game he's ever played in. All of them. Like, literally all of them.
I love Ketel Marte. You don't have to tell me twice. Like, besides the fact that Houston lost, that's my favorite part of this World Series. I could watch it in peace. Besides that, like, there's a lot of guys on both teams that I like, but that's just how I consume the fucking sport. Like, the names don't really do shit for me like that.
There's two ways to go into a World Series. Either there's a team you really fucking hate. For me, there's only one. They haven't been around for a while. So if they're in it, you root hard against them. Haven't had to do that a lot the last 20 plus years. When it's not them.
Say it one more time, Coley. Say it one more fucking time, man.
When it's not them, I just enjoy the sport for what it is. My one stipulation, if your team gets eliminated in the championship series, you don't have to watch the World Series. I do not blame anyone who got that close and then eliminated. 100%. You know what 100%. I mean? If you get that close and then eliminated in a Game 7, people were also shocked that was the Phillies' first Game 7 ever. Not that shocking. The Phillies were the first franchise in professional sports history, not baseball, professional sports history, to 10,000 losses. A historic loser franchise.
How many franchises haven't played one is what I would counter with. Like, I'd love to know that, because I didn't get a chance to look that shit up because I forgot. But like, how many franchises haven't played one? Because I feel like the Phillies have lost a lot. People kind of act like people give the Phillies prestige they really don't deserve based on their history. Like, they haven't done a lot. I don't know why we do this.
They were nice in the 80s. They were nice in the 80s.
Right. And besides that, it's kind of just been, and yeah, late 2000s cool. Like, I'm not going to knock them, but they're more or less an average franchise when you add it all up. So
Below
I don't know why.
average. Well below.
Fair. I'm not gonna have the Philadelphians after me. Like, go after him. He said no, but
what a fucking change of pace that would be for me.
but, yeah, I don't know how many franchises haven't played a game 7. Even like loser, winner, like the Royals have sucked for the majority of my life. I think they played 2, if I'm not mistaken. And I
They've
think
had to have played at least 1.
yeah, I know they played. They lost one to San Francisco. I know that, and they played a couple, I believe. But like not playing one in that long a period of time is relatively surprising. You would think by accident you would get to a game 7 at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it also is just like if you're not making the NLCS, there was no and before up until when did they change it from like when did they even not have playoffs? Like it used to just be you won the pennant, you go to the World Series. So if you weren't making the World Series, you weren't playing a game. There were no games to be played. You know what I mean? Like it's not that strange to me. It's all like people act like I kept seeing like they were founded in 1846 or whatever. Yeah, there weren't game 7s like could be played.
They were like, if they were playing game 7s from 1846, you might have a point.
Right. Yeah, that's where it was just like this isn't that peculiar. But the Phillies are fun. I do feel bad for them. It was also tough. Like Bryce and Castellanos wearing like all black game 6, and then they went jerseys for game 7, and it was just like they were trying to have like their moments. I like both those guys. I don't hate these Phillies. I hate Dombrowski. I don't hate Phillies, but acting like those are tough looks, and they both admitted that, which I respect. They didn't try and run from it. They didn't try and duck it. They were just like, "Yeah, this fucking really sucks," and it does. You're up 3-2 going back home to the bank, a place people were saying is the hardest place to play in all of baseball. Not for the Snakes.
I've seen the Phillies lose too many massive games in Citizens Bank. I granted, you can say that's about every single part, so I guess there's also that. But like, this is home field advantage like we've never seen before. Have we really not seen? We see it every year at some point. Yeah, Philly fans they're a little bit meaner, I guess, and they put a little bit more into their cherry. Like, okay, cool, but they're not the only home field advantage there is. It's just not.
I mean, the best home field advantage I've ever seen in baseball, like by far, the 2002 Anaheim Angels. Yeah. You were not going in there and winning it. When they put that fucking monkey, and I'm not being racist, an actual monkey on that screen, when they put that goddamn monkey on, that place went banana. Like, you were not beating them once they showed that thing. They all had them, the Velcro hands. They were going crazy.
Listen, I hated when the Yankees went there in the 2000s, bro. Like, it sounds crazy now. Like, there are probably people watching this like, what the fuck are they talking about? Anaheim ain't been good my entire life. Take our words for it. But, like, I'm a Yankee fan who was born in 87, bro. Like, in the 2000s, I hate anytime I saw Anaheim on the schedule, at Anaheim, I was like, oh, fuck, again? Like, oh, my God. They never won there. Never won there.
Going at Anaheim or in basketball at Sacramento, same era. Those were just places you weren't going to win.
You weren't going to win. Unless you were the Lakers and you had the referees in your pockets.
Sure,
but that's But yeah.
It was a very different era. Like, very different. So, yeah, Snakes, Rangers, very intriguing matchup. Like, if Arizona wins this, they'll have 2 this millennium. That's more than most teams. So that's also where I get so confused. Like, what do you mean this is like, and the Rangers played in 2 a decade ago. So this is their 3rd World Series in the last, like, 13 years.
Yep.
I don't know where it's just like, oh, look at these unknowns on the block. Like, I understand there are ebbs and flows. There are some tremendous downs for both of those teams in between. Like, I get all of that.
Like, recent tremendous downs.
No doubt.
Like, over 100 games 2 years ago.
No doubt. But even in 17, the Diamondbacks, people were picking them to win it all. They got JD at the deadline. Like, they were hitting the shit out of the ball. They got bounced in the first round. I don't remember Diamondbacks fans being like, we got to change the playoffs, all of them. There's no more. Like, what I hear people saying is, like, they want a 6-team league. That's it. They want...
more or less.
They want the Red Sox. They want the Yankees, the Mets, the Cubs, the Cardinals, the Dodgers. That's really it. Like, those are the 6 teams I want to watch.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of fun players on both sides. I'm looking forward to the series. I guess I I mean, the narrative of the Rangers having not won one, that's pretty cool. It doesn't really move me. But like, if there's shit for every kind of baseball fan, there's something here for you if you care to find it. If you like exciting guys, yo, you got plenty of them in this series. Corbin Carroll's right there. Ketel Marte's right there. Corey Seager's right there. On down the line. If you're just concerned about the baseball, this is cool. If you're concerned about the names, turn it off. I don't know what to tell you. Turn it off. Like the bitching about it is insane to me because they'll bitch because the thing is they'll bitch about it, but then also just not actually tell us why. Right. Like we know why you like names, and that is fine. But stop making it about the ratings. You don't give a fuck about. You don't really give a fuck about the ratings. You don't.
You're also watching maybe the greatest manager in the history of baseball in Bruce Bochy. Just resume alone, it's hard to match up with what he's done. 3 very different franchises, 3 very different eras of baseball to reach the World Series. With the Padres, the Rangers, and the Giants is very impressive. I don't care how you spin it.
He's been great. I mean, I'm looking forward to the series. I think the Rangers are going to win the series. I guess predicting baseball playoff series is such a waste of time. But like I think it's such a waste of time. You go predict this shit. Somebody gonna go up 3-1. It's gonna look like the shit is cooked, and then everybody's gonna forget how to hit for 4 games. And you're gonna be like, oh fuck.
Well, that's the other part. I could understand if like a team snaked their way, no pun intended, but snake their way through playing other bad teams and getting the World Series, then you could be like, they just caught a bunch of lucky breaks. Like the Rangers had to go right through the Orioles, and they did. Wasn't much of a contest at all. Like just walked right through them. This idea that like,
and the Diamondbacks beat everybody's favorites,
right? So like
that's probably why they mad. They beat everybody's favorite. They beat the pants of the Dodgers. That series lasted 8 minutes. They beat the fucking shit out of the Phillies just now in their crib. Went in their crib twice. Won 4 of the last 5 games of the series. That's probably why people are mad. They beat their favorites. They got their favorites up out of there. And quite frankly, I find the Dodgers boring, to be honest with you. Like, maybe I'm tripping. I find them boring. Like, Mookie Betts is great. I don't feel like Mookie Betts gets enough coverage, personally. Freddie Freeman doesn't interest me. He's a cop. He doesn't fucking interest Freddie Freeman, a cop. He don't interest me. Clayton Kershaw's cool. He kind of boring. Like, I've watched the Dodgers do the same shit for 10 years, and they have no personalities whatsoever.
No.
So it's like, the baseball's fine. Like, I would watch them, obviously, but they bore me, though. Like, you have fresh now. Like, the Rangers are fucking fresh. They're not usually here, obviously. The Diamondbacks, damn sure, are not usually here. It's fresh. Corbin Carroll is, if MLB does it right, he's one of the faces of the sport.
Yeah, right.
Ketel Marte just hits everything. It doesn't fucking matter where it is, above his head, behind him,
both sides of the plate.
He hits everything. Like even now this is the nerd in me. I find Brandon Pfaadt to be interesting because he was a really good prospect. He came up, struggled to put it lightly. And since the playoffs started, he's been bowling. Like I find that stuff interesting.
Well, the same with like Evan Carter.
I like baseball. I feel like other people don't.
That's definitely part of it. Evan Carter also, like you want to look at a young guy.
Love him.
A guy like I didn't realize how lowly scouted he was by the rest of baseball. Like really the Rangers were the only team in on him, which I didn't know.
And I want to say they drafted him around 2. I think it was round 2.
That sounds about right. I know they took him higher than they probably needed to because again, no one was
for
looking
sure. I was saying that if nobody won, why the fuck did they draft him in round 2? They could have just.
Well, it's also the baseball draft. They probably signed him below slot, and you know what I mean. So it's like that baseball draft. We might have to do a deep dive on like how insane the baseball draft really is.
Seriously,
but yeah, I'm excited for it. Again, game 1 and 2, I understand if you're not that excited because you can't win the series game 1 and 2. It's tone setting time. But like if you are like I have no dog in the fight, Phillies Diamondbacks. When Kevin Ginkel goes in there and just shoves for 2 innings with the inherited runners, middle of the Phillies order, and he's challenging Bryce middle 96, and Bryce can't do anything with it.
3 times straight.
Unbelievable theater.
3 times straight. I saw Bryce pop up the 3rd one. I was like, yeah, this is not their night. It happens that way, man. It's not their night.
No, and that's more baseball. It's not you have to redo the entire fucking playoff structure. Sometimes not your night. Like, it is what it is.
And there's variance. That's the whole playoffs. It's variance, bro. Like you know how many great Yankee teams I've seen get to the playoffs and hit 118 in the first round and lose? Like that's what happens. It's what happens, man. It's part of the deal, bro. They hit 118. You get mad about it. They leave a million runners on base. They go home in 4. I've seen it a million fucking times, bro. That's what it is. You can get mad about it. You can whine about it. It's going to still be inevitable as long as the core tenets of the sport remain the same. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell
you. So I'm going to go with the Snakes. It just feels like a weird snake. I'm going to go Snakes in 6.
Texas in 7 for me, and I say this with zero confidence. I'm just here to enjoy the fun. That's all. I'm saying with zero confidence. I don't know who the fuck's going to win that series, bro.
It's always a relief when I don't want to say don't care in like a negative way, but it's like whoever wins, like good for them.
No, it's great. It's great. Listen, I watched the Yankees in the playoffs like 90% of the years of my fandom. Yeah, I'm cool taking a year off. I'm cool taking a year off. Like them making the playoffs doesn't really bother me like that. Like especially once the playoffs start, I was like, yo, this is kind of fun to not have to sit here and live and die with every fucking pitch.
Dude, watching a game 7. Like my heart rate was still going up, and I had to remind myself, like, it doesn't matter who wins here for us. Like it truly doesn't matter at all. But like when it's your team, like I'm in the hospital watching those games. You know what I mean? Like I'm on life support. The 18-inning Red Sox Dodgers game, if that series hadn't already been pretty in hand by that point, like we're up 2-0. If that's a 1-1 series, then you're in inning 17. You're like, what is happening right now?
That 18-inning game, that sums up like one of the things I hate about myself. That I sat and I watched that whole game simply because it's just like, yo, every inning I'm like, yo, I should turn this off.
You're watching history.
Fuck the history. I'm just like, yo, I already spent like 4 hours watching shit, so I might as well keep going. And it just kept going and going and going. And I'm just like, yo, is this ever gonna fucking end? And why can I not turn this off? Like the remote's right there. For once, I knew where my remote was, and I couldn't get myself to turn the shit off. Couldn't.
No, that was. I mean, that.
And it wasn't even like I thought, yo, if the Dodgers win this, they could win this. I never for 1 second thought the Dodgers were gonna win that series. So I really don't know why I spent a third of a day, like quite literally a third of a day watching that shit. I have no idea why I did that. No.
At least like that. The playoff baseball, when your team is winning, is the best. When your teams aren't involved, is the second best. Like when you're just you've long been home.
It's great.
But hopefully the Red Sox will be playing playoff baseball again soon. They finally have the long national nightmare is over. Craig Breslow has returned home. Apparently he never left home. He's been working for the Cubs from Newton, Massachusetts this whole time, which I find very strange.
Fire. You get to work from home. That's strange to me, this particular context, but okay.
He was handling, from what I've read, a lot of day-to-day operations from his couch. So I don't exactly know how that worked. But I'm okay with it. He's it feels like they've rehired Heim that didn't trade Mookie Betts. So it's hard for me to be like upset. Like removing the personal bias aside, just what I liked about Heim is what a lot of people seemingly like about Breslow, and he's a former player, so it gives it a little bit more authority in terms of how he goes about things, how he views certain things. People seem to think he and Cora will get along a little bit better because he has that former player pull. He came highly recommended from Theo, which Theo's a prankster, so who knows if he's trying some shit here, but it doesn't seem that way. My one concern, if I have any, and I believe I said this last show, I'm worried the Red Sox are going to use this as an excuse to not spend on pitching because of how good he was at developing Cubs pitchers, starters, relievers, closers, all of it had a lot to do with him, his methods, and what he was telling guys to focus on. So if the Red Sox only sign bats and don't invest any actual money in frontline pitching, I know that won't be his fault. Like, that'll be ownership's fault, much like it was ownership's fault when they wouldn't spend with Heim. So I'm hoping it's a combination of both. Like, yeah, let's really juice up these minors, this minor league system, all these pitchers. I don't think he'll come in and start making a bunch of trades. I think he values the minor league system based on what he did with the Cubs. Obviously, a different role and all that, but it's hard for it. I'm glad it's not a retread. I hate a retread there. That would be such a cop-out to me.
Agreed.
And again, I liked what Heim was doing. So if I liked what Heim was doing, it'd be weird for me to not like this hire when it seems like they're relatively similar, like-minded guys.
I really agree with the last part. Just no retreads in general. Like, I'll say it. I'm ageist. I don't want no old dudes. I don't want, like, just keep them away from me. Like, we will touch on Sean Casey later, and I have more to say on that. But just keep the old. I don't want the old guard, the old school. Keep them away from me because it's like, all right, they did what they did back then. It was cool, and I'm not here to knock nobody's resume, man. Do you? But I feel like the game has passed a lot of them by, and a lot of them are not willing to adapt in a way where these people who are in the game now, I'm not saying that there aren't stubborn people who are new school.
Sure.
That would be a fucking lie. But like, it's either adapt or die. And I feel like the younger people are more willing to do that shit as opposed to the old guard, where it's like, yo, my way worked in 1984. What the fuck can you tell? How could you tell me about this, that, and the third? I mean, shit, look at how the Astros are run now. Or managed, excuse me, on the field. But like, you're telling me a newer guy wouldn't be like, yo, this Martin Maldonado everyday shit is not like what are we really doing here? Like, we have a backup catcher who can hit. Like, granted, he swings at everything. That's a little bit problematic, but he can hit. Martin Maldonado hits like me. So why is he playing every day? You know what I mean? I'm an ageist. I'll say it. I don't care. I'll say it again. But as far as the Red Sox, the hire sounds savvy to me, which I hate. Hopefully it goes the same way the last savvy hire they made went.
Yeah, I mean, since Heim took over during his tenure, I believe he and the Yankees made the same number of ALCSs. So I don't know why that would be so good in your eyes.
I didn't mention the Yankees here. Dipshit. I didn't mention the Yankees.
Yeah, he also swept them in the playoffs. Just absolutely bashed them.
Are we done? Swept them they won one game, dog.
And the Yankees won 0. That's a sweep where I come from.
Is it a sweep? They won one game.
Well, I've had this question with people before. Is there, like, what's the maximum? Can you sweep a 5-game series? Like, how much, like, you know what I mean? Does it have to be 4 to be a sweep? Or excuse me, a 3-game series. I think a 5, if you win 3 out of 5, that's a sweep. But a 3-game series, if you win 2, is that a sweep?
I think a 2-game series is a sweep.
Interesting. So you draw the line.
As long as it's more than 1, it's a sweep. Like, 1 is not a fucking sweep. It's just you won a game. Congrats. That's a win. Great.
Based on how that game went, I would call it a sweep. I would definitely call it.
Of course you would. I bet you would.
Stanton hit that walk-off single in the first inning. Everyone was creaming themselves. And that was the end of that.
Shout out to John Sterling. I'm not gonna diminish his legacy too much. Shout out to him. But speaking of ageism, anyways, keep going. Go ahead.
That was very funny. There is this part of it, and I know Chris Cotillo wrote on it today, and people were mad at him. Like, how could you write this? He's a fucking journalist. He's doing his job. And the thing he said was like, hey, it's still a little weird, like, so many people turned down even interviewing for this job, right? Like, did they actually get their guy, or did they settle for the best of the rest? And I don't always think settling's the worst case scenario. If you look at the Red Sox offseason, last year, they were very aggressive trying to sign Jose Abreu, and the Astros outbid them. And then they settled for Justin Turner, who had a much better regular season, like much better. So that's why sometimes it's like, settling's not always the worst case. I do think Breslow needs to, A, be successful, and when he is successful, be here a while so that this can pass. This isn't a thing. Like, he needs to land some free agents immediately, and I'm interested to see how that goes. Like, how is he in contract negotiations? I don't know that that's necessarily a thing he was leading in Chicago. I know it's not. So that's where it's like, there are still parts of the job he needs to learn. And the Red Sox came out; they are allowing him to pick his GM. They're not going to force someone upon him, kind of like they did with Himes. So it seems like they've learned from those mistakes, if you can even call them mistakes. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, how this free agency plays out, and just kind of his day to day with Cora, how they're going to align. And is this a guy Cora is going to be comfortable working with, both as a manager and as his GM in a few years when he decides to make that move up to the front office? It's very interesting. I'm just happy that's over because I know a lot of Yankee fans are done with Cashman. They're done with Boone. There's nothing more boring than a GM search. Like truly nothing. Like
true.
Like let me talk about players, the guys who are going to be actually playing. I don't like
because the thing is nobody knows shit. Like I don't know how the fuck Craig Breslow is gonna do. I don't fucking know. Like nobody knows shit. And granted, you can kind of say the same thing for coaches and managers. To be fair, you can
big time.
But like talking about, they hire Alex Cora. At least you could be like, well, his playing career said he was X and whatever else. I didn't see how it links to how he manages. But even then, it's kind of just like GM talk, manager talk is entirely boring. Hence why I don't talk about Aaron Boone. I don't give a fuck. Like I don't. Again, I'd like to remind you, the team with Dusty Baker managing them won the fucking championship last year and was one game away from the championship again this year. And Dusty, I get it. A lot of managing, especially in baseball, shit we don't see. I get it.
Big time.
Nobody manages a locker room better. Like a lot of people will tell you that. I'm just strictly talking about in between the lines. Dusty be doing bozo shit all the time, buddy. All the fucking time, buddy. Again. I hate to keep no, I don't. I'll keep harping on Martin Maldonado. He had him hit in like the fourth inning of that game. They were down 8-2 with 2 runners on base, and he had Martin Maldonado taking his bat. Why? What was you were down by 6 runs already? This wasn't like it was 3-2 and you're like, I need Martin to manage my pitching staff. You didn't. You didn't.
I think it's more defensible down 8-2 as opposed to 3-2 because this may be his last game too. Like I know Dusty already announced his retirement. Martin should be done. Like he's a young man.
It's his last game because he's ass.
Sure, that's part of it. But to Houston fans, like that's part of where you say he's a great player manager. If you know it's someone's last game and you know it's over, you're not coming back from 8-2. Like I don't care how
you don't do that.
You do. You definitely do.
No, you don't.
Of course you do. Know that. Like Chapman, of course, could give it back in 2 seconds. I get that.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that's even more of a point to like, yeah, let's wait to get this pinch hitter for when Chapman's on the mound. You know what I mean?
Fair. But homeboy can hit the ball at the park. He'll be 8-5. We'll never know. Thankfully, we'll never know. Thank you for letting him take that at bat and ground out to short like he's done 800 times this year. Appreciate you, Dusty.
We'll never know. There was one other thing before we wanted to talk about. Nope. Sean Casey, under fire. I don't know. I only read a little bit of what you sent.
Oh, look. He's not coming back. He wasn't fired, but he said he doesn't want to spend time away from his daughters. That was what he gave us. So he's not coming back. He claims he could have come back if he wanted to. I don't know how true that is. That sounds like somebody who's leaving a job. So I don't know how fucking true that is. Whatever. Anyway, so the story goes that the Yankees fired their head coach midseason, who's kind of the new age, the analytical approach guy, whatever. He aligns with the minor league hitting coaches, like their philosophies align because that would make sense, right? Your major league coaches and your minor league coaches have hitting philosophies that align, right? Following that makes sense. Okay, so they fired Dylan Lawson midseason, which the most scapegoat shit that you'll ever fucking see. Because it was just like, yo, these guys can't hit. I don't know what the fuck you want him to do. He can't hit for them, right? So they fire him. They hire Sean Casey, I get it. People get on TV and say whatever, okay? And it doesn't necessarily impact how they do their job or what they focus on at their job. Sean Casey got up on national TV and said, OPS doesn't matter. Why would you hire this guy? Just based on the shit. There's like a running reel. I gotta find the tweet. There's like a running reel of dumb shit that he said on MLB Network that could easily be disproven, and they hired him anyway. All right, cool. They hired him. He's an old school, hit the ball to the opposite field guy, whatever. And then the article drops today from Brian Hoke. Oh, they're concerned about Volpe and Peraza and whatever because the philosophies didn't align between the previous hitting coach and the current hitting coach and the minor league hitting coach where they just came from. Duh, no shit, duh. You went from a new school guy to an old school guy in the middle of the season. Duh. What like no shit. This is what happened. Now, am I making some big deal of the story in a vacuum? No. I don't understand why people's reading comprehension is so bad. And I've said this on the show every episode. Like, when you have shit you repeat every episode, so do I. I don't understand how the reading comprehension is this bad. Like, they're like, oh, just Cashman doing whatever. And granted, yes, they should not have fired Dylan Lawson mid-season. Simply because you're not going to get a hitting coach who's going to get these people to hit. They can't hit. That's the problem. You have to just get to the offseason. You want to retool your lineup, then bring in a new hitting coach. That makes more sense. Fine. But they didn't do it that way. But it's like, it's just Cashman doing this, and, the organization doesn't know what it's doing. It's like, well, partially, a lot of fans blame analytics for everything. They brought in a guy that's less analytical, and the offense got worse. It got fucking worse. But besides that, it's just common sense. Yes, when you're a 21-year-old rookie, we're struggling. Like Volpe did the majority of the season, and like Peraza did whenever he came up 3 games at a time, like 6 different times this year. Right. He was struggling. And you have what they used to teach you in the minors and what they used to teach you in the majors, and then change all of that shit on the fly. No shit, it's going to be conflicting. It's not going to help you. And I read all the shit after Lawson got fired because people were dancing in the streets. I have no idea why. Was that going to change the lineup? Is this MLB The Show? Like, everybody's going to get a +5 boost on power? I don't understand why people were so happy that he was getting fired because, again, I was not changing the lineup. But regardless, ultimately, it's the most no shit, nothing burger story that I've ever seen. And yet people still read it and twist it and turn it like a pretzel into something that is really not. And it's really amazing the talent that people have to do that. It really is. I gotta say.
Should Sean Casey have tried giving him more like chicken parm or something? Do you think that would have helped?
I mean, to be fair with Volpe, like his season kind of went. It was kind of 2 halves. It was the pre-chicken parm and the post-chicken parm. The post-chicken parm, he was fine. Like I think he could be better, but he was largely fine. But there was peaks and valleys. There was highs. There was lows. Like most like non-Julio Rodriguez division rookies. That's right. What it is. Like that's what it is. But Sean Casey, yeah, the veterans love Sean Casey. Yeah, they're old. Yes. Like old people tend to hang with old people. Okay, old people resonate more with old people. Young people resonate more with young people. That's how it goes.
I'm mid-season hating refs already. Like this game's a sham. That was travel.
Yeah, I gave up on turning to the left to look at the TV when I kept. It was like the Jaylen Brown. What's the dude's name of the Knicks? The white dude, Hartenstein. They were going back and forth. I kept looking. It was just the same shit. But I'm just like, yo, how long does it take to sort this out? Am I tripping here? Like I feel like
got that wrong too. So it's insane.
It was like every like 10 seconds, I would turn around and say, all right, here's the replay again. I'm like, oh, this can't possibly be this interesting. It can't be. But
no, it's not. It's infuriating.
Yeah, I hope the refs fuck the Celtics some more. To be
honest, they've done a bad job.
I hope they keep doing a bad job.
They will. That's what their whole lives. Like everyone's always like, oh, it's opening night for the refs too. They don't improve like the players do. Like they get worse, if anything.
I agree.
But shout out Bartolo Colon. He got drafted to the new Middle Eastern League. owned by like Adrian Beltre and a whole bunch of other people. Like the ownership over there is wild. The people who are involved, it feels like big scamming hours, which I respect. Like DJ Envy is probably involved in some capacity.
Shout out to DJ Envy, man. Shout out to him.
No shout outs to DJ Envy. But very, if you're like a pitcher still trying to like, because this league happening over there is happening during the winter. You might be able to get a job if you do well. That's happened before. It wouldn't be that shocking. If you get drafted after 50-year-old Bartolo Colon, you got to hang it up. Like you just you got to hang it up.
There were a lot of people who got drafted after him, man.
Oh, I'm only talking pitchers. Like I understand.
Oh, okay.
Hitters getting taken after that, but yeah, if you're a pitcher and it's like, now we need Colon, like, I think it's over. I think you're done.
I mean, how do we know that these people don't have good drafting tendencies?
They took Bartolo Colon really high. He's 50 years old.
Exactly. So maybe they're just stupid. Like maybe it's not about the player.
I will say this league, Baseball United, I believe is what it's called.
Yes, I think it's Baseball United.
Yeah. Unbelievable logos for the teams. Like the team that took Bartolo, it's like the K with the crown on it. Kansas City's had KC with the crown over it. Not even consistently, but they've had that logo forever. They've never just had the K with the crown. Unbelievable. I hope these games are on TV somewhere. I will watch them for sure. So shout out Baseball United. I'm all in. Any league that embraces Bartolo Colon, I will also embrace. I also saw Rusney Castillo got drafted. Red Sox legend. Really Woo Sox legend, but legend nevertheless. Legend at the bank is all that matters.
Ski mask legend, baby. Ski mask legend. He was in the minors with making like $12 million a year. That's really
raking.
Funny.
That was the other part too. He wasn't bad in the minors. He was just bad in the majors.
Right. He was absolutely raking, making like 12. It was just like he had to pay for all the dinners and shit. I'm like, yeah, I bet you do.
But yeah, go Snakes, go Rangers.
But I have a couple things to say about this league. Number one, this Didi going 3 thing. What are we doing here, folks? First of all, Didi ain't done shit since the stadiums were empty in the majors. Hence why he can't get a job. Number one. Number two, Andrelton Simmons was right there. Now, yes, I know. Andrelton Simmons cannot hit. Okay, sure. He gets out of his bed and he could feel his ass off. And that's been the case his whole life. I mean, another shortstop was right there. And you took Didi over Robinson Cano. I don't give a fuck how old he is. I don't care. And yes, I know I just contradicted the fuck out of myself. I've been talking about ageism the whole show. I get it. Robinson Cano's old, yeah. Okay, get him in there. Give him some of that the juicy stuff, and let him cook. Like Didi Gregorius, what kind of low floor, low ceiling ass pick is that?
He's got the Netherlands fans behind him. It's a short flight for them. They can get over there and watch their guy. So I get that. It's more about putting asses in seats than it is production on the field. That's fair. You don't.
But if it's about putting the asses in seats, the 15 people shouldn't have gone ahead of Bartolo Colon.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, if Colon went 1-1, more people are talking about this league than
exactly. If this is a business thing, then Bartolo Colon should not have gone no fucking 16.
No,
we're talking just strictly baseball.
1,000%. It's like Alejandro Diaz got like it was a fun look at a lot of names I hadn't even thought of in some time.
Also, I've never heard of this player, but JD Hammer is a
unbelievable
fire baseball name. I've never heard of this man. I hope he's like Luke Voigt, just big as hell, hits home runs. I hope that's what he is. I don't know. I didn't look him up. But JD Hammer is a fire baseball name. I appreciate that one.
I'm going to say something about the Raptors in a second. I can't.
The hands up is crazy, dog. It's opening day, man.
Hands
up is crazy, bro. It's opening day, man.
It's basketball. That's how I watch basketball. Is
it?
Yes.
I
can't believe they got a tech. What? That's an insane series of events. Dante DiVincenzo just shot Kristaps in the chest with a cannon, and they called the tech on Kristaps. Like, that's insane.
I don't know, man. I feel like
I'm sure you're going to be having a biased take coming up.
I feel like that's a little exaggerated.
That's
I
exactly what happened.
I could be wrong.
For sure wrong.
I don't think somebody got shot in the chest, but I could be making this up.
I mean, it was a 2-hand shove to the, like, he didn't box out at all. It was just a 2-hand shove to the chest. And Porzingis, he didn't even complain that hard, and they teed him up. Like, that's insane.
How referees give technicals is probably the worst part of how they do business. I don't understand it. I really, especially when it's like, yes, Draymond Green leads the league in technicals every year. Understood. Brother, if they were to officiate him like he was a normal person, bro, he would have to pay his entire salary in fines. Seriously. I don't understand referees, but
no, they're bad people at their core. Something terrible happened to them as kids, and they take it out on adults. It's shameful job.
Go New York, go.
That's a bad song. It's not a good song. Bad song, bad team.
Says the Sweet Caroline enthusiast.
I mean, now we're switching sports. Sweet Caroline's a great song.
Oh, knock it off. Stop it. Sweet Caroline stinks.
No, that's a bad take.
Sweet Caroline stinks. Stop it.
But we'll see everybody next week.